What happens when Hollywood royalty meets daytime television royalty, and the clash becomes so explosive that security has to step in? In just 38 seconds, one comment would turn a friendly interview into the most shocking moment in talk show history. Kelly Ripa sat across from her guest, ready to begin what should have been a pleasant conversation. The studio audience was buzzing with excitement. The cameras were rolling. Everything seemed perfect. But sometimes, perfect moments can shatter in an instant. "Welcome to the show," Kelly said with her trademark warm smile. "We're so excited to have you here today." Meghan leaned back in her chair, looking around the studio with what can only be described as a dismissive expression. "Thank you for having me," she said, though her tone suggested she felt she was doing Kelly the favor. Kelly, ever the professional, continued. "So let's talk about your journey. You've had quite the transformation over the years." "Transformation?" Meghan interrupted, her eyebrows raised. "I think you mean evolution. I've always been exactly who I am. The world just finally caught up." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Kelly's smile remained, but something changed in her eyes. She'd been doing this for decades. She knew when a guest was going to be difficult. "Of course," Kelly said smoothly. "Tell us about your current projects." Meghan sighed. Actually sighed, like the question was beneath her. "Well, I'm working on several things that are really changing the world. Not just entertainment. Real impact. I'm sure you understand the difference." Kelly nodded slowly. "Absolutely. This show has raised millions for charity over the years. We love making a real impact." "Right," Meghan said, and the way she said it made it clear she didn't think they were on the same level. "But I mean global impact. Worldwide change. Not just, local stuff." The audience gasped quietly. Kelly's co-host, who was sitting off to the side, looked stunned. Did she really just dismiss all of Kelly's charitable work as just local stuff? Kelly took a breath. "Well, helping people is helping people, no matter the scale. Every person matters." "Sure," Meghan said, waving her hand dismissively. "But there are levels to this. Some of us operate on a different playing field." Kelly's professional mask was starting to crack. "I see. And what playing field would that be?" "The kind where the entire world is watching your every move," Meghan said, leaning forward. "The kind where you can't just say whatever you want without consequences. The kind where real power exists." "This show reaches millions of people every single day," Kelly said, her voice remaining calm, but with an edge creeping in. "I'd say that's quite a platform." Meghan laughed. Actually laughed. "Millions? Sweetheart, I had billions watching my wedding. Billions. That's influence." The audience went completely silent. Did she just call Kelly Ripa sweetheart? In that condescending tone? Kelly sat up straighter. "I'm not your sweetheart, and this is my show. I'd appreciate a little respect." "Respect?" Meghan's voice went up. "I'm giving you ratings right now, just by being here. Do you know how many shows begged me to appear? I chose yours as a favor." Kelly's jaw tightened. "A favor." "Yes, a favor," Meghan continued, seemingly unaware or uncaring that she was burning every bridge in the room. "Let's be honest. When was the last time your show had someone of my caliber? Someone who actually matters on the world stage?" The producer in the booth was frantically signaling to Kelly, but Kelly didn't need the direction. She knew exactly what she was going to do. "Someone who matters," Kelly repeated quietly. "You think you're the only person who matters?" "I think there are people who change the world, and people who talk about it on morning shows," Meghan said with a shrug. "No offense." "That's incredibly offensive," Kelly shot back, "and incredibly arrogant." Meghan's face changed. She clearly wasn't used to being challenged. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Kelly said, her voice steady and strong. "You come on my show, insult my work, insult this entire team, and act like you're doing us some kind of favor. That's arrogance." "I'm being honest." Meghan snapped. Maybe you're not used to people being real with you. Real? Kelly let out a short laugh. Real is showing up and being gracious. Real is respecting the people who invited you into their space. Real is not acting like you're better than everyone else in the room. Meghan stood up abruptly. I don't have to sit here and be attacked. Attacked? Kelly remained seated, looking up at her calmly. I'm responding to your behavior. If you can't handle that, maybe you're not as worldly as you think. Do you know who I am? Meghan's voice was rising now, losing its composed quality. I know exactly who you are, Kelly said, standing up now too. You're a guest on my show who forgot her manners. The audience was riveted. This was not going according to anyone's plan. The cameras kept rolling. Nobody knew what to do. Your show is nothing, Meghan spat out. Just another daytime talk show that people watch while folding laundry. I've sat with world leaders. Then maybe you should go sit with them now, Kelly said firmly. Because this interview is over. Meghan's mouth dropped open. What did you just say? I said this interview is over, Kelly repeated, louder this time. I'm not going to let you disrespect me, my team, or our audience. You need to leave. You can't kick me off, Meghan said, her face flushing red. Do you have any idea what kind of backlash you'll face? Kelly stepped closer. I've been in this business for 30 years. I've handled bigger scandals than you, and I'm telling you right now, get off my stage. This is outrageous, Meghan shouted. I've never been treated this way in my life. Maybe you should have been, Kelly said coolly. Maybe someone should have told you a long time ago that fame doesn't give you the right to treat people like they're beneath you. Meghan looked around wildly, like she expected someone to come to her defense. The audience sat in shocked silence. The crew members avoided eye contact. I came here as a courtesy, Meghan tried again, her voice shaking now with anger and maybe embarrassment. Then consider your courtesy noted and rejected, Kelly replied. Security, please escort our guest out. Security? Meghan's voice hit a pitch that made several audience members wince. You're calling security on me? 2 security guards appeared from the wings, looking uncomfortable but professional. I'm leaving, Meghan announced loudly, as if it was her decision. I wouldn't stay on this pathetic show anyway. The door's that way, Kelly said, pointing. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside the chair, her hands shaking with rage. You're going to regret this. Everyone will hear about how I was treated. Good, Kelly said. Let them hear. Let them hear exactly what happened. How you came on my show and acted like you were too good for everyone here. I am too good for this, Meghan shrieked, all composure gone now. This cheap set, this basic show, this nobody host. The audience collectively gasped. Several people put their hands over their mouths. Kelly's expression hardened. Get out, now. With pleasure, Meghan snapped, turning on her heel. But as she turned, she knocked over the coffee mug that had been sitting on the small table between the chairs. It shattered on the floor, coffee spreading across the stage. Perfect, Kelly said dryly. Just perfect. Meghan didn't even look back. She stormed toward the exit, the security guards following at a respectful distance. The studio doors slammed behind her with a bang that echoed through the silent space. Kelly stood there for a moment, looking at the broken mug, the spilled coffee, the empty chair. Then she turned to face the audience and the cameras. Well, she said, and despite everything, a small smile played at her lips. That was interesting. The audience erupted. Not in applause exactly, but in a release of tension. People were talking, exclaiming, looking at each other in disbelief. Kelly walked back to her mark, stepping carefully around the broken ceramic. We're going to take a quick break, she told the camera. Clean up this mess, and when we come back, we'll continue with our scheduled programming. But she paused before the camera cut away. And let me say this. I've interviewed hundreds of people on this show. Celebrities, politicians, everyday heroes. Most of them are gracious, kind, and understand that no matter where you come from or what you've done, treating people with respect is not optional. It's basic human decency. She looked directly into the camera lens. Fame doesn't make you special. Character does. How you treat people when you think the cameras aren't rolling, that's what matters. How you treat the crew members, the assistants, the people you think can't do anything for you, that's who you really are. The audience started applauding then. Really applauding. Standing up, clapping hard, some people cheering. Kelly waved them off gently. Thank you, but we have a show to do. Let's clean this up and move forward. During the commercial break, the studio was chaos. Producers were on phones. Crew members were whispering frantically. Someone came out to sweep up the broken mug. Kelly's makeup artist rushed over to do touch-ups, but Kelly barely seemed to notice. Are you okay? Her co-host asked, finally approaching. Kelly nodded. I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. I'm done tolerating bad behavior just because someone is famous. She's probably going to say terrible things about you, the co-host warned. Let her, Kelly said with a shrug. The truth is the truth. Everyone in this room saw what happened. When they came back from commercial, Kelly did indeed continue with the show as planned. She interviewed a chef who was teaching underprivileged kids to cook. She talked with a teacher who had created a literacy program in her community. She laughed with a comedian who had everyone in stitches. It was as if the previous segment had never happened. Except everyone knew it had. The energy in the room was different. Electric. The audience couldn't stop buzzing about what they'd witnessed. One audience member raised her hand during a break. Kelly, can I just say, I've been coming to tapings for 5 years, and I've never been more proud to be here. What you did, standing up for yourself like that took guts. Kelly smiled. Thank you. But honestly, it shouldn't take guts to expect people to be kind. That should just be normal. Another audience member chimed in. She was so rude to you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Some people forget that there are human beings behind the cameras, Kelly said simply. They get so caught up in their own importance that they forget basic courtesy. Her co-host jumped in. The way she talked about your charity work, like it didn't matter because it wasn't global enough, that was awful. Kelly nodded. Every act of kindness matters. Every person helped is a victory. I don't care if you're feeding one person or 1 million people. If you made someone's life better, you did something important. The chef who had just been interviewed leaned over from his seat. That's exactly what I try to teach the kids. It's not about being famous or recognized. It's about making a difference where you are. Exactly, Kelly agreed. And honestly, some of the most impactful people I know will never be famous. They're just quietly changing lives every day. The show continued, but the incident hung in the air like electricity. Everyone knew they'd witnessed something significant, something real. In a world of carefully scripted talk shows and managed celebrity appearances, they'd seen raw, unfiltered conflict. When the show finally wrapped, Kelly addressed the audience one more time. Thank you all for being here today. I know that wasn't the show you expected. It was better, someone called out, and others laughed and agreed. Kelly grinned. Well, I aim to please. But in all seriousness, thank you for your support. And remember, be kind to people. All people. Not just the ones who can do something for you. As the audience filed out, they were already on their phones, texting friends, posting on social media. The news was spreading like wildfire. Backstage, Kelly finally let herself relax. She sat down in her dressing room, kicked off her heels, and let out a long breath. There was a knock on the door. Her producer came in, looking stressed, but also oddly proud. That was, he paused, searching for words. That was something. I know, Kelly said. I probably should have handled it differently. No, the producer said firmly. You handled it perfectly. She was disrespectful. She was condescending. And you stood your ground. That's exactly what you should have done. The network is going to freak out, Kelly predicted. Let them, the producer said. They'll see the numbers. They'll see the response. Trust me, this is going to be the most talked about episode we've ever done. He was right about that. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Not officially released, but audience members had filmed moments on their phones. Social media was exploding. But back in that dressing room, in that moment right after it all happened, Kelly just felt tired. Do you think I was too harsh? She asked quietly. The producer sat down across from her. Kelly, I've worked with you for 15 years. I've seen you be gracious to difficult guests more times than I can count. You bend over backwards to make people comfortable. You're patient with the nervous ones, gentle with the emotional ones, and professional even when people are late or unprepared. He leaned forward. But what I saw today was someone who came onto your show with the intention of making herself look important by making you look small. And you didn't let her do it. That's not harsh. That's self-respect. Kelly smiled slightly when she called me sweetheart in that tone. I know, the producer said. I saw your face. That was the moment. It was so dismissive, Kelly continued, like I was some starstruck fan instead of a professional who's been doing this since before she was famous. You've earned respect, the producer said, and you deserve it. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for demanding it. Kelly nodded, is feeling a bit better. Okay, let's see what happens next. What happened next would dominate entertainment news for days. But in that moment, sitting in her dressing room, Kelly Ripa felt something she hadn't felt in a while. She felt proud of herself for drawing a line. For saying enough is enough. For remembering that fame and power and global influence don't mean anything if you can't treat people with basic human kindness. The broken coffee mug had been swept up. The stage had been cleaned. But the impact of those 38 seconds when Meghan had made that first dismissive comment would echo far longer than any of them could have predicted. It was the moment when everything changed. When a routine interview became a cultural touchstone. When someone finally said what everyone had been thinking. And that being famous doesn't give you permission to be cruel. That respect goes both ways. That at the end of the day, we're all just people trying to do our jobs and live our lives. And the least we can do is treat each other with dignity. Kelly looked at herself in the mirror, fixed her hair, and smiled. Tomorrow there would be meetings and phone calls and probably some damage control. But tonight, she was going home with her head held high, knowing she'd done the right thing.